Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Trading Bitcoin. We were supposed to do the Bitcoin law review this morning, but changed it up last minute. The law review, we'll probably do the law review tomorrow at this time or the day after, trying to find another day. Some of the lawyers were busy, and there's so much in the world of law we need to talk about as well. But let me go straight to screen share here. Oh, I'm also being joined by Nick Core. Hey, Nick.
Hey.
Oh, I don't hear you anymore. I don't know if that's me or what.
No, you should hear me. You hear me okay now?
My audio has been late. Hold on.
You are a little choppy right now.
Okay, hold on. Let's try this again. How about now?
Yeah, a little bit better.
What the fuck?
I can hear you.
I don't know what's going on.
I can hear you.
Hold on.
In the guys in the chat, can you guys hear me okay?
Okay, I got it. No, it was my end.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
they should have heard you fine. All right, let me pop out the chat here. Hey, did you get any sleep last night?
Not really. I had a lot on my mind, and then it just so happened we started dumping around that time, and then I saw you and Ben Zen and Tyler go on. Tyler apparently never sleeps either. And so I was like, I'll tune in, watch you guys in the background as I take a look at these charts. But yeah, that was a very quick move last night. It was enough to make me pay attention.
Yeah, let's go and take a look at the charts. Where are we here? Right, so these were our law review topics, by the way. We're going to talk about the SEC statement from November 16th. This is all coming. The SEC, the crackdowns that are coming. I was going to talk about this is the crackdown on Salt, the investigation over Salt, and Eric Voorhees is involved. Tether being investigated. I mean, when it rains, it pours, man. And I want to talk about Binance. I want to talk about why the Binance token is an outright scam and an unlicensed security. So there's lots of stuff here to discuss. Also, the news. Hey, so the Backed exchange, they moved their launch date or their approval date. I don't know, but it's gonna happen the day of our poker game, man. It's going to be the night before the poker game, January 24th. So we're all going to be out in Vegas when Backed is supposed to launch.
Truthfully, though, that day should be generally a non-event on the markets. I mean, I don't think we're going to see any immediate jump off of that. So,
you know what? I have a feeling it's possible that on that date we can make like the ultimate low of like $2,000, and then people are going to say that Backed reversed the whole market just out of random coincidence. Just like the CME futures reversed the whole market at 19.6K.
Yeah.
Because remember, guys, we had capitulation the first week of January last time, and we topped at the end of November last time. This time we topped 3 weeks later. We topped in the middle of December. So we are 3 weeks late on a current basically we are 3 weeks late on the current bear market. We started 3 weeks later, so I wouldn't be surprised if we end 3 weeks later. And last time we ended the week of January 1st, so we can actually end the whole bear market with my conference on January 24th, 25th.
We'll let you know at the conference. Stay tuned.
Yep. Everyone's asking about the live stream, the conference. Well, if I have the money to live stream it, I will live stream it. But right now, ticket sales are doing okay, not great. And the price of Bitcoin is going down. And since I wasn't able to hedge the Bitcoin, well, if there's no money for a live stream, there's no money for a live stream, right, guys? I mean, I might get a couple of sponsors, but right now it's only being supported by ticket sales. And with the price of Bitcoin going down, I don't exactly have my own funds to dish out here. So if there's no money for a live stream, you have to be there or come next year.
Rumor is Vitalik wants to sponsor the live stream and pay for all that, as long as we throw Ethereum logos everywhere.
Oh, yeah, perfect. All right. So the monthly chart is going to update in a couple of hours, in about 3 or 4 hours. It's so frustrating that I can't see the index. Now, again, so I tweeted it this morning. We touched the setup trend line. I have found that these setup trend lines are really, really important. And you don't think that they would seem so random, but the setup trend line is basically the lowest price in a kickoff to your uptrend. That's basically what the setup trend line is. And to me, it's been doing really well. Now, I was expecting the high of the prior upswing to bounce the price, but I don't mind right here. This is probably the second falling knife that I personally, well, see, this is weird, right? Because I, I guess it's the second falling knife I caught, but if you caught the first falling knife properly, then you did okay on this one. I actually did pick up some GBTC. I picked up some I put the tweet together, but I didn't have time to tweet it out. I actually picked up some GBTC. I did attempt to catch this falling knife. Let's go to the 10-minute chart. Where's the 10-minute chart?
How come
There
you've
it
been
is.
watching that 10-minute chart so much, out of
Oh, look at
curiosity?
that. Yeah. So I actually picked up the falling knife. When did I do it? I did it around here because I was live streaming. We were live streaming right here. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this looks really good for a buying opportunity. And it wasn't bad, right? Because like we were saying it, this candle was just forming. This was the last video that we did. And that candle was at approximately, I'm on Bitstamp now, at 42.80. I did like your 42 zone. I liked your reasoning. I just didn't see it as being important enough to end the bear market, but I did see it as important enough to maybe take us back to like the $5,000 to $6,000 range, Nick. And we went all the way up to here, 47.50. And it's unfortunate that I actually, after I bought GBTC at the market open, I overslept it. So I had a limit order set and I just missed it. Like literally my limit order was 5 cents lower than the opening price on GBTC. And then it went up. So I happened to wake up at 2 in the morning. I chased GBTC a little bit and then I set a sell order and then I went back to sleep. And then I wake up and we're already going down and I missed my sell limit order by like 10 cents. And I'm like, son of a bitch. So it's that's what happens when you're like in Australia and you can't be awake for market open. So we're bouncing off of another 9 on a 10-minute chart. I mean, the 10-minute chart has been amazing. This was the combo 13 and the 9 bottoming here. Again, a 9 right here. It seems to be bottoming on the 8 candles. I mean, I know a lot of people are now using this index. I know over 1,000 people have my version of the index, probably over 1,000 people have it. I also gave it away back in the day. So there's and there's lots of free versions and stuff. And look, there's another 9 right here bouncing the price a little bit and another 9 right now. Like I said, I caught this falling knife back here somewhere and it's at approximately the price it is now. I do not think this is the time to panic. I still think that this is playable. I bet you there's divergence involved here.
Oh, there is most definitely. Not to mention we're oversold on just about every single indicator on multiple
Right.
times.
I mean, I don't have the RSI or the MACD, but I bet you we're oversold on this 10-minute angle. I like the long wicks right here. I like this volume spikes. To me, this is buying volume off of these doji candles at 7 and 8. We seem to be bouncing off the 8 candles constantly. I like it right here, and I think we can knock out the swing high. I think we can go back to 5,000. I did, crypto trader last night with Rand, my last night, not yours. And that's exactly what I said. It'll air probably Wednesday. But in a market that's moving this fast, like unless it's live streamed, it's kind of irrelevant. We called it last night here. And
these are some of the most rapid candles we've seen, some of the biggest moves we've seen. And yeah, talking about price action on something that's going to film at a later day is kind of a tricky situation when we're not ranging.
Right. So I am looking for a bounce here to at least 5,000, maybe even as high as 6,000, and then probably gonna do one more push down early next year. I do think that a lot of people are gonna get out of this asset for tax purposes, especially if they can claim some kind of a loss against their other gains. But the S&P 500 is being pummeled, and that looks really ugly. Or wait a minute, no, that's gold. I was about to say, are we back? Yeah, here's the daily S&P 500. We just closed again. Setup trend line. I mean, the setup trend lines have done well in the past as well. I like them, and I mean, this is just ugly looking on the S&P, but the week is not over yet. Let's see if we can get a long wick. I'm still like, I'm optimistic now. I'm you're supposed to buy when there's blood on the streets. Now, I don't think this is the final blood on the streets, but I think I think Bitcoin's been beaten up enough in the last week and a half that I don't know. I think it's due for a bounce right here, and it looks like we're recovering again. So my tweet was timely. The moment I saw setup trend line being breached, we did touch 4,048. That's a good distance. I mean, these targets off of triangles, they rarely reach their targets immediately. Now, do I think we're going to go back to the top of the triangle? Probably not. Do I think we can go back to this blue line of 5,000? I think we could. Now, it would be nice to do it in an orderly fashion in order to have time to think. But actually, it was funny. Nick and I were about to go live, and I was setting up. And remember what I said right before we went live? What did I say?
Today or the other day?
No, just now, right before we went live about GBTC.
Oh, yeah. What about it, though? I'm sorry.
Like, I ran to my broker, and I'm like, shit, can I pick up some more shares of GBTC? And I went, I was trying to do that right before going live. And I opened up my broker, and I'm like, fuck, why did my limit sell order just get canceled? And I'm like, God damn it, it's 4:01 p.m. So I literally ran to my broker like 3 minutes late because I wanted to pick up more GBTC. And I got a much bigger chunk this time. Because I was in a losing position at the close, but I wanted to buy it at the close because I am seeing the bounce once again, and I'm liking this bounce. All right, Nick, what are you thinking? You said in our last show about 4,200 being a potential ultimate bear market low. What are your latest thoughts on that front? Let's see if you have any charts for us. I'm going to stop the screen share and have you reevaluated, and what do you think?
Yeah, let's flip over to some charts. All right, so yeah, it's really difficult at this point not to get emotional on it because it was such a rapid drop, but I tried to trade logically and to keep all emotion out of it. We saw this chart yesterday. We're still currently above that. Again, this is closed, this is online, but if we flip the candles over, obviously we have breached it down here. Now, something I am still looking for, and something I'm keeping in mind this entire time, is let's go back to this January 12th, 2015 candle, which was ultimately the low of the bear market. We did this fib extension level, this fib retracement level 78.6 is kind of one of the basis of my bottom theory. And if we look at that, we wicked below it and ended up closing above it. So I guess you could say my shot of hopium, and mind you, I've probably never traded off a hopium, but what I'm hoping for is that we do end up closing this weekly above that. Let's take a look at some of our oscillators to see if that's even possible at this point. So CMF is rapidly declining, but we're going to go down to this daily actually, and we can see the amount of sell pressure on there is ridiculously high. Our OBV up here, ridiculously low yet again. Let me flip over to this chart real quick. Turn off my
and I got a couple of questions for you. One of them is, can you explain the orange, blue, light blue candles? Like like, what is that?
Yes. So the orange confirms that they are bearish candles. It's based off of volume. The blue is confirming it's bullish. So you might get some actual, some sell-off candles that might be a bit divergent or something like that. So it'll color it.
Is this your own formula, or is this something standardized?
So what you're looking at right here, let me see if this is mine or no. So this one is actually, if we go into key hidden levels here on TradingView, this is UDIO bars. I have just changed my colors and some of the options on it a little bit differently. These black candles are actually an indicator that I have right here that I've been working on customizing. It looks similar to Lazy Bear's indicator, but it's not. So that'll color the black candles when we get a buy or a sell signal down here. At some point, that indicator, along with a Elliott wave indicator, will be made public. That'll be selling, but I'm still working on perfecting it. I use a number of volume analysis techniques and trading ranges to confirm my Elliott waves. They're so subjective. I've kind of been on this quest to master Elliott waves to where there's basically 100% accurate. It's possible if you have no black swan events and no major buyers and sellers. If the market is just taking place. So nothing's going to be 100% accurate because we'll always have those events. But that's something I'm working on. I could turn those off for now if it's adding confusion on that.
No, it's not. I was just very curious. Like, again, like there's so much in technical analysis that I need to learn myself, which is why I am looking to put together an interesting conference in the near future, all about learning more about trading and investing.
Yeah, and this color candle is not 100% accurate. I mean, you can see here on this doji here that I colored it as bullish, and then we immediately dumped off, and that was actually, if I turn this off here, you can see that was a sell candle right there.
Mm-hmm.
So just like with any indicator, nothing's perfect, but just adds a little more data to things when I am looking at things. Here's another one I'm working on. You can find indicators like this, but it will identify the candles for you. I won't get into that too much, but let me take a look at some things, and let's see if this is actually possible to, clearly we're going to be sold on the guppy, the GMMA. Let's let this load on the daily here. You can hear the cat in the background. Yeah, so we're definitely in way oversold positions. Typically in a market, when I see a move like this is my my long signal that I start looking at when we get into that far away from the guppy. If we drop down here to the hourly, you can kind of see how it works a little bit better because the daily's pretty spread out right now. But when we get this far spread, I look for a oversold condition to set a long in. Let's flip on this Ichimoku. The Ichimoku is clearly going to be bearish, but let me turn on this lagging span here so I can give a quick example of. So I typically don't like the lagging span. I turn it off because it's really not that great. But for those of you that don't know, with the Ichimoku, you have your faster moving conversion line here and your slower moving baseline. And when this is typically a trending line, your conversion line, for those of you that can't easily identify trending or ranging markets. Let me find a better example here on the 4-hour. So you can see clearly we're trending down. Everybody knows that already. The baseline uses an average of conversion line and Seiko span. And when you get crossovers, like we'll go back here to the daily. When you get crossovers here, like a TK cross, that's usually an indication to sell. It is a lagging indicator. But back to the Ichimoku positioning right now, this is about as bearish as it gets. But also the Ichimoku can act, there's a C-clamp theory, I guess, but it can act as an oversold positioning also. But when I'm looking at that, I prefer the guppy because you have multiple moving averages. So we're definitely oversold here. Let me throw on some oscillators real quick. Let's get our MACD, our Stoch, and our RSI. Take that guppy back off on our daily. So MACD looks looks horrible, right? Let's take a look. I mean, as lagging as that is, it's going to look pretty horrible on most time frames anyway. Good news is our Stotch is bottoming and bottoming. I mean, it can't bottom forever. If we go back to, let's flip it on the weekly, actually. So here's our weekly Stotch. And those of you that have taken some of my courses or have been tutored by me in like Bitcoin Masons and whatnot know that I like to look for these Stotch channels because they do exist and they do kind of act a little bit as resistance there. Now, it is based off of price action, but the Stotch is good for divergences and things like that. So we do have some room to come back up here and then ultimately head back down. Eventually, we're going to have a break up on this, and it's still kind of why I'm holding on to the theory that if we can close this weekly above this 42.72 area right here, that line is set at 42.72, but I learned very early trading that I don't want to set definite prices and I want to set ranges. So honestly, I need to go back through here and set a range that I want to see us close either in or above. Now the RSI, I've talked about this before, and Tone, you've touched on this too. We sat on this little base here forever, and I just was not trusting a bear market or a bull market at the price levels we were at before while we sat on this base right around there. This is actually a good thing that we broke down, as I said yesterday, and we continue to bottom. A bottom on the weekly oscillator would be, or on the RSI would be great. Now the monthly, I don't think we'll ever bottom out on. You can see our last bear market. We're not too far from that. I don't know how well you can see this purple on my screen, so let me flip this to yellow real quick. But I mean, we're not too far from that on the monthly. Really, what I'm looking at on the monthly is your TI indicator. Let's see how that looks today. Now that we've had some price action, throw it on Heikin-Ashi. You know, still clearly going to be an 8 until this monthly closes. We'll see next month what it paints for us. But for now, I'm still looking for this close. Wow, that looks way different on Heikin-Ashi, huh? 48.78. I about went and checked my positions just now. So yeah, we are still looking for a close above that. That's the non-emotional analysis that I'm looking at right now. The emotion side of me says, wow, that was a pretty heavy dump this week, pretty heavy dump last night. Doesn't appear to be a buyer in sight. The bulls are definitely not in control, but you know, I really am looking to see some type of momentum shift this week and a close above that. I think it's reasonable to think so. We can't continue to sell off forever. Eventually the buyers take over, whether it's short term or long term. We've got our mom indicator on here, which is the momentum indicator, dropping pretty fast. Let's see how it looks on the daily here. Pretty low. Let's compare that to 2015 real fast on the daily. Well, that's actually not a good study because we didn't even get a good enough range back then. So we're going to scratch that. I've never actually looked at that that far back. Just the thought had popped in my head. But let's flip over to the hourly. We do have a little bit of divergence, bullish divergence on the hourly with the momentum indicator.
Yeah, it really felt like it because like I traded 10-minute charts for so long as a day trader. And I used to look at the hourly charts a lot when I was a swing trader to enter positions. And the moment I pulled up that 10-minute chart and I saw the drop to 41.50, I'm like, I knew there was divergence. I didn't even have to go and look. It's just experience.
So the RSI is actually rising pretty quick too and is not matching price action, as we can see here. Really, we want to go back 14 candles maximum, which is about where the divergence starts. We can see that's 13 right there. Wow, my hotkey is not working. Okay. So yeah, if we go back 14, which is as far back as the RSI measures, guys, when you're looking at divergences, you typically want to stay in the parameters of the indicator. I have my RSI on default. I always have. Never had an issue with crypto and changing it off of the default 14. Let's do some real quick volume analysis on this hourly and see if we can spot any kind of divergences there. Real quick, the Stotch, well, yeah, decently enough. Let's take that off. Let's throw on our CMF so we don't get too crowded here. So actually, we are creating a bit of a bullish divergence here on the hourly. We can see that we do have buy pressure.
Yeah, it should be. It should be
Subsiding.
everywhere. It should be everywhere, and also
Right.
the longs and shorts are flipping towards the bull side. I mean, like, look, I did call for just like you, the 42, the bounce off of 42, and the bounce off of 42 happened, but then it scared everyone when it crashed. It went up from 42, went all the way to like 47, 48, but then it crashed so hard to 41, and people got scared. But that's when but that's like one of those few exceptions where you can double down the secondary low, because that secondary low is like just there to knock out the weak hands. That markets tend to do that all the time on short time frames, and
Right.
that's why I was even more comfortable. Normally, I say whenever you break down from a base, you short it, but not in this case. This is one of those exceptions because we fell so hard the first time, and then you bounce, and that bounce just didn't hold because people weren't confident enough to keep adding to their long position. They got scared, causing everybody else to get scared. And I think there's nobody left to sell right now. I think there's nobody
Yeah.
left to sell for the month of November.
Here's our Bitfinex longs to shorts ratio. The blue is your longs, the red is your shorts. It's at 31,941, and longs are at 2672. So we are stacked up on shorts. Typically, when I see something like this after a rapid sell-off where we are in oversold conditions and shorts are stacked like this, I look for them to get liquidated. Most of those were opened up at around that 42 range, that 41 range. And if we get a little bit of momentum going up, they're going to have to either close early or get liquidated, and it will add fuel to the fire there. So there is that factor right there. I don't know if you want to look at Ethereum real quick or not.
I
Interested
mean,
in that at all? Not
I
at
don't
all.
care, but if you want to look at it, be my guest. Though we are, just keep in mind, I have to check out of my Airbnb. We literally have
Right.
15 minutes. But yeah, glance at Ethereum.
Just real quick, I'm still looking at the 4 to 110, actually 109 range right there. Before I decide if we're going to go any further, I've actually been eyeballing this since clear back at $400 when we ended up breaching right here, 443. I figured at that point this is not going to, because there was a lot of, as you can see here, there was a lot of people based on the price action thinking that we were going to go lower. Once we breached it, it kind of assured me that this is the range we'd be looking for. I did begin to doubt it around this area, but I still stuck to my analysis on that. Didn't close any positions. You can see MACD looking horrible on Ethereum. RSI is bottom. Stoch is bottom, starting to trend upwards. So potentially we can get a slight move up here on this next daily candle, maybe even back to 172. But ultimately, I think we're going to end up coming back down here, and that's the next bottom that I'm eyeballing.
Yeah, see, what bothers me on this current big drop, like what has been bothering me all week, is that Bitcoin is the one selling hard and altcoins are actually hanging in there versus Bitcoin. This tells me that unlike in the previous sell-offs in the crypto space, where you dump your shitty assets first and you hold on to your blue chip, which is Bitcoin, I think this time around, we're being hit with the selling of Bitcoin by those that never even held altcoins. And I think that's why on this particular drop, Bitcoin is dropping and some of the altcoins are even potentially rising. And it's not because people are dumping their Bitcoin for altcoins, just that people are dumping Bitcoin that never had altcoins. And
Well, so I did.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
And,
Well, I
and,
did.
and
I did a.
yeah, go ahead. You go.
I did a stream last night on my channel where I covered a few altcoins, and there's a couple that are popping off, but I think mainly it's fundamentals that are making them pop up, not so much like capital flows. You know, they have some big catalysts coming up. I'm kind of under the impression now alts aren't dumping as hard as they are, even though they are dumping, because it's mainly just the devs holding them nowadays, and there's no sellers nor buyers anymore on either side because the projects, most of them are just abandoned as far as like the fanboys go, buying these up. Now there is a few that are making moves. if we're going to call, XLM and XRP alts and more consider them a business, they are making some moves. There's some like very low caps that are making moves, but like 5K can make, something go 40% sometimes with some of these low cap altcoins. It just, I think they're a dead market right now. And I honestly am not touching alts other than like the positions I have in XLM and things like that.
All right. Yeah. So I'm trying to think what else. Oh yeah. Hey, one more thing. Let me see something here. I'm finding your Fibonacci line a little bit strange back in the old days of. Let me. I want to check that against mine, right? Because see,
keep in mind, I placed it on the line, which is based on the close. So like I've had a lot of questions about that, why it looks so different. I didn't place mine off of that wick there. I'm under the impression wicks like that are the market's emotion, and they shouldn't be factored into some serious analysis on higher time frames. That's also why I'm looking for this wick to come back up.
So where did you start? So where does your 2013 bull market Fibonacci start? Does it start in early 2013 at the breakout?
So are you talking about the Fibonacci for when we started it in 2011?
Yeah, I'm talking about the last bull market. Where do you begin? What's your Fibonacci range?
November 21st, 2011. And I did that. So let me show you. So this kind of gets into Elliott waves real quick if you want.
Well, no,
I won't do the Elliott's, but my reasoning for that.
So you're not using the wick. You're just using the candle close.
No. Okay. So now that we're talking about, scroll back a little bit to November 21st, 2011.
Well, this is it, but I have monthly candles actually.
Okay. Flip it over to the weekly for me.
But that shouldn't matter, right? I mean, like this candle.
But it's easier for me to see.
No, I know, but the range of the candle is from $2 to $3, right? So at what price do you have it?
Let me look. Also, remember, you're on the index and I'm on Stamp. It's at $2.37 on Stamp.
237, right? Okay.
Yeah, so and the reason why I was asking you to flip over to the weekly is because you can kind of see it looks like 6 impulses on there, but really that first impulse just had a huge like B correction in it. If we're getting into Elliott's, but I had placed it clear down there because I felt that was the bottom of that first impulse and some real price discovery on that.
Okay, so I see. So actually the big difference is not necessarily $2 versus $2.40. That doesn't matter. The big difference is the fact that I was using 76.4 and you're using 78.6.
Right.
I think that's the big difference there. And it pierces right through the middle of that candle on the index. And yours is where? At the near the close?
Which candle? Point to it again. I've got the zoom pulled up so I can't see as well.
Oh, the January capitulation candle. Where on that candle does your Fibonacci cross?
So it actually crosses slightly below that candle body right there, the seven retracement level.
So this is the difference of using the index. So that's that's what makes ours a little bit different.
Yeah, it's like let me look. It's how many dollars off of that bottom? It's a difference between
about $50.
210 and like 203. 204 is where my Fibonacci line is, and the candle close on that was 211. So we're talking even less than that.
Oh no, I was talking about the difference between my fib and your fib. It's about $50.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
Assuming like if I use the 78.6%, and because that candle, I have that candle close as 216, and my Fibonacci was like a 240. When
we're talking about such large scales like this, honestly, like if you want to play around with the Fibonacci numbers, I've seen it. I'm sure you've seen it too. I've seen multiple theories on, people call place new levels and then call it their own like Fibonacci retrace. And Fibonacci is based on, the mathematical sequence and nature and the world and all that. And also, human psychology, and that's why the markets move like that. But honestly, like that slight of a difference, we're talking about, huge trends. I think a couple dollars, $50 is not going to matter much.
Yeah, I still like it right here. Now we are going to come up on a 10-minute 9. We went up, got a little bit of a pullback. If we can close the current 10-minute candle, above 43.80, 43.90, I mean, the volatility is huge. I mean, if we go below 4,000 at this point, holy shit, the bottom can drop out. But this divergence low off of the big long wick, see the big difference between the low that we just had, an hour ago, and the low that we had when we were streaming this at 3 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. The big difference is the candles. I know, Nick, you seem to be a huge, fan of the oscillators. I'm not. You've been to my workshop. I like save those oscillators for last. I'm a big fan of candles, and to me, these candles look so much cleaner than these candles, because these candles gave you the nice long wicks, they gave you those dojis, they gave you those hammers, and you bounced off pretty strong off of them. The difference between this volume being red and this volume being green is literally $2 on the candle close. So I don't trust the color of the volume candle based on the color of the body. Like, I wish I can just write my own index saying, hey, if the wick on the bottom is lower than the wick on the top, then this volume should be a green volume spike and not red. It'll give you a completely different volume bar outlook in that scenario.
Just to clarify on what you said, I am a fan of the oscillators, but I don't view anything as, so I start with, when I do my analysis, I start with price action first, candle positioning, price levels, things like that. And then I begin to look at oscillators and other indicators and factors like that. I don't rely or believe that one indicator is going to give me a whole picture on anything. I like to have as much data inputs as possible when I make my decisions.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And no, I also meant it from a perspective, like I only know about 4 or 5 oscillators well. You probably know a few dozen.
At least it's just a lot of them are worthless or only used in certain scenarios. So, if I can't find the picture I need, then I'll start cycling through. So if I can't get a good volume, analysis on something, then I'll start cycling through some rare volume indicators or something like that until I get a clear picture on things.
Right. So right now, I am still bullish Bitcoin. Again, attempt to catch this falling knife fell slightly short, but it fell so slightly short that I think this is a better falling knife catch. However, if this level is broken, it's over. I think we're going to 3K.
Yeah, I'm still looking for this weekly close. You know what? Even if we wick to 3K, I might be rethinking some things, but at the same time, I am still watching for that weekly close. And
no, I'm with you. I meant it from the perspective of trying to catch the falling knife.
Okay, gotcha.
So I believe this was a good attempt at a falling knife catch. And I tried to catch it with GBTC. If only, it wasn't in the middle of the night, I would have got in like the 485 range, and I would have gotten out. Actually would have been gotten out at the top because I had to get in later because I overslept, and my limit order was mistimed by 5 cents because I overslept and I had to guess where the open's going to be, and my limit order didn't get filled, missed it by 5 cents. And then after I forced a fill at a higher price, I then set a limit order that was 10 cents too high, and I didn't, and again I was asleep, so I couldn't get out. I couldn't lower it as it was happening. I probably would have just gotten out of that trade with a slight profit. I attempted to buy back into GBTC, but I missed it by 2 minutes because the market had already closed. So it was just like the worst possible timing mechanism. But I think that and again, it's the fact that I'm in the Sydney, Australian time zone killed it. And but I think this is a decent second attempt at a falling knife catch, but I would not be trying to catch the falling knife between 4,100 and 3,000. Like if we breach 4,100 and we're breaching this level again at any point this week, either 10 minutes from now or even next week, I would not attempt to buy Bitcoin in the $3,000 range. I would wait for low 3,000s, or I would wait for it to return back above this level, back above the $4,200 area. Because I think then the next wave of the more confident hodlers are gonna panic. And because the altcoins aren't dumping this time faster than Bitcoin, I do see this as dumping of actual Bitcoin of those that never even believed in shitcoins. And this is how markets eventually bottom. The question is, how much more is there? And also, if you go to Twitter, I mean, like when it rains and pours. Oh, this is another thing I was gonna say, Nick. This environment. Okay, so here's where I disagree with you. I disagree with you. I'm curious what you think about this statement. So I think there is a huge difference between the current big drop candle and the candle that you think this closely resembles, which is that final capitulation drop candle. When that final capitulation drop in January came, there was almost no more bad news. I mean, like everyone was already in, like there was nothing. I mean, we're being bombarded right now. The government is coming down. I mean, we're going to talk about this massive statement. This is a three-pronged attack. This is an attack on ICOs itself, which was obvious. This is an attack on, maybe I shouldn't use the word attack, but this is a crackdown on the ICOs themselves. It's a crackdown on the promoters of the ICOs, and it's a crackdown on the exchanges that are trading anything resembles a security. And this is going to be very interesting when it comes to Deribit and BitMax, because they don't touch fiat, and Bitcoin is not a security, but Bitcoin is a commodity. So, but is Ethereum a security? Are there other contracts? Are there derivative contracts on securities? Is Bcash a security now because it's totally centralized? Is Cardano a security? I believe that it is. I believe Ethereum is a security, right? So if they have futures contracts on securities, are they in violation of the SEC? But Bitcoin is a commodity. So if you have a futures contract on Bitcoin, are you still in violation of CFTC laws? From what I understand, SEC is technically a subdivision of the CFTC, and CFTC has the broader, more general reach. It's just that CFTC doesn't deal with like insider trading. So, I mean, we did not have this kind of craziness from the regulatory perspective. We did not have this situation. I thought that like someone was showing pictures of like the Chinese government is cracking down on Chinese miners. That's a giant shit show over there that's going on. I'm like going through my Twitter feed. I can't even find them. Maybe it's in my notifications. I'm not sure what I'm looking at on the entire feed. Oh no, let me not go to messages. That's a bad idea. Mentions.
Real quick, while you're digging that out, Nicole asked if I ever use Fibonacci time zones. I have never gotten anything substantial off of Fibonacci time zones. I've attempted to, but there's better ways of doing analysis on that.
I got something very substantial out of using Martin Armstrong's cyclical time analysis using Pi. One of the best articles I've ever written, and I wish I've had time to look into it. I'm just busy. If you Google Intro to Time, Tone Vase, you will find one of I rewrote it, right? So time analysis by Tone Vase. I wrote that in June 2017, but the original article was this one. The original article I wrote was in August of 2014. And in that article, I pointed to two very critical dates. I was too scared to name the actual day. So I only, I went with the month. I was too scared to name the week, and I was too scared to name the day. So I said, hey, Bitcoin is going to do something very, there should be something very interesting happening in Bitcoin in June 2015. And then something very big and critical for Bitcoin in August 2017. So that was my time analysis. You can go back and read this article. And then what had happened was this guy. Wait, that's time analysis, right? Open link in new tab. And then as the dates were coming closer, I repointed it out, and then I did more math and I narrowed it down to the day. And what happened was, and there it is, right? August 11th, that was a tone-based critical day in Bitcoin life cycle that I predicted. Can I click on that? Yeah. So I predicted this day of August 11th back in 2014. This is August 11th of 2017. I predicted it back in 2014, and I was off by about 1 day on SegWit officially getting in to Bitcoin. And I wrote an article saying how that would be the most critical day in the life cycle of Bitcoin. So there is time analysis that could be made. And the June date was like within a week of the Greek banking shutdown. And there it is. So June 16th. And that was, I pretty much nailed the Greek banking shutdown that helped reverse the bear market. So I was able to pick those very critical dates using time. And time analysis is so important. You just need so much
Yeah,
time
I don't disagree with you on that. I just, the Fibonacci time analysis, I'm not a fan of.
Yeah, so the June date, so here it is. So the Greek banking shutdown was here, and my data analysis put it at 1 week earlier, and I called that, and I referred to that as the trend change, and I nailed the trend change from bear to bull with that date, and I wrote about that date over a year earlier, or just about 11 months earlier, and then the other date was the August date, the SegWit getting in date, and that set off the full-blown bull market. So, but back to the other thing we were talking about is like back in January of the capitulation candle. I mean, that was the bear whale incident. There was really nothing. I mean, Bitcoin wasn't like the Chinese government weren't attacking the mining structure. We didn't have the whole fight.
I can agree with you on that. It is different in that sense. There was not, the same type of events.
Right, like Mt. Gox was already long behind us. It's been a year since Mt. Gox. Everyone has already rebought their Bitcoin. I mean, the whole tether thing is a big issue. It's the fund the now I don't want to say fundamental, right? Because fundamental is the technology behind Bitcoin. The fundamental of Bitcoin is stronger than ever, but the confidence in Bitcoin from a regulatory perspective, from a mining perspective, from a everyone is a shitcoiner that wants Bitcoin to die perspective, which we didn't have back in 2014. The whole dumb idea that the DAX is something useful and you can have decentralized exchanges and you can have everything, everyone prints their own money, like the elements, the quasi fundamental elements of news reactions and people's reactions to that is so much shittier right now at this point in time than it was back in January of the last bear market. So I think the environment right now is still prime for more panic, when back then that was it. That was people selling unnecessarily because there was no more reason to get out at that point. Like all the bad news had already occurred.
I can agree with you on there, but also what we didn't have back then that we do have now on the alternate side of your argument. X-Hacks, by the way, I did answer your question in chat. I do use volume profile. I even posted the tutorial I've written on TradingView in it. There's my TradingView link in there. You can go view it there. It's also the exact volume profile tutorials higher up. But anyway, what we don't have now is this attention that Bitcoin has in the news, and also the amount of money flowing into it from institutions. I mean, it's not flowing into it, but there is a big difference.
Right. The thing is, right now, it feels to me like the money is actually flowing out of the institutions for whatever little money got in. Now, I think that's a great catalyst for the next bull run. But I think at the moment, that's not really helping, and all the shit in the news is actually hurting at the moment, not helping. Like all news is good news, but not in the moment.
Yeah, yes, but I do feel institutions are still coming into it. The OTC markets are gigantic right now. Once you do weed out all the scammy OTC deals that are going on, there is massive amounts of Bitcoin being bought OTC. I've seen it firsthand, and they are like huge funds on Wall Street right now. So I think that doesn't affect the exchanges, right? But I do think it affects the overall market.
Right, and I've always said, like if you were an institution and you're buying up, a bunch of Bitcoin at a high price of between $6,000 and $10,000, you have a game plan because you have a lot of money. And I mentioned this game plan as far back as 6 months ago when everyone was talking about institutions. And I said, man, if I was an institution, I would buy up like maybe 40 to $50 million worth of Bitcoin in OTC right now, take a third or even a half of that Bitcoin aside and use it to crash the market in order to, go 10x on your original Bitcoin purchase at a significantly lower price.
Right.
All right, man, I gotta go. I gotta pack up. I gotta leave this Airbnb. I gotta get to another airport, which is kind of my life these days. I still like this secondary knife catch, but if we start trading back below 4150, I would then take that off the table. I'm being very optimistic here. Like I said, I picked up some GBTC. I wanted to pick up more GBTC right at the low, but between trying to cancel the law show and trying to start this show, unfortunately, the market closed on me like with 3 minutes. Man, that really sucked. I was gonna pick up like another 3,000 to 5,000 shares of GBTC or something, and but couldn't do it. And we'll see what happens tomorrow. I mean, that's the unfortunate part of holding GBTC. I'm at the mercy of the market for the next 16 hours.
Yeah, I'm watching to see what happens this Sunday, see what kind of close happens. And I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to get emotional. And you know what? Truthfully, like there's no reason to be emotional in any of this. It's all money. It's all trading. So yeah, let's see what happens with this close. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that's part of technical analysis. Name me one analyst that's right 100% of the time. Take the data I have in front of me and let's see what happens.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it'll be fine. And hey, guys, if you want to hang with us, me, Nick, and Tyler, and Leah, and many others, when Backed launches on the 24th, please come to Vegas and check it out. The poker game is slowly getting sold out. That's going to be a lot of fun. 0.1 Bitcoin might be a $100 entry fee. But it'll be a lot of fun. And the conference itself will be a one-day full conference. We finally integrated fiat payment system. However, the price isn't Bitcoin, and we don't want fiat, so the fiat price will probably be higher. They are like destroying us with fees, and let's see what happens. So please, if you want to pay with PayPal, you now can. Yeah, so and we'll adjust this price every now and then. But Bitcoin is so volatile right now. We'll see how it goes. So please check it out.
By the way,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, that's fine.
I was just going to clarify now, if when I end up winning that, I'm not chopping with anybody, just when I get to the final table, just so you know.
Oh, man, I'm not chopping it either, man. There's no way I'm chopping. But yeah, no. I was actually thinking of putting in a rule, no chopping. No. We're Bitcoiners. Like, we play to the end. But yeah. So,
no forks. Same thing as a chop.
No, there'll be no forks at the table. But yeah, but Nick, you're a pretty good poker player. You and I played at the tables down in Miami, and it will be a lot of fun, man. But you're gonna have some competition. George Salmon played semi-pro, I think, and Doug Polk is a pro. And
no, I noticed it's and Leah. I mean, she took you down, and I know how well you play. So
Tyler is supposed to play really well as well. And yeah, it'll be a lot of fun, man. It'll be great.
By the way, you got some really big tips you might want to give some shout outs to. There's several $100 in tips.
Sorry, thanks guys. I haven't been watching. Yeah, thanks a lot. Wow. Yeah, thank you, DJ Crypto. Yeah, we'll definitely go grab a steak on you. Thank you, Jazz, and thank you, Mr. Seplat. And thank you, Mike. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your support. And yeah, makes me, makes me happy to keep doing what I'm doing when I'm getting support from those that are watching. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It's time for me to pack up, take a shower, and head to the airport. By the way, if I had the most miserable flight coming from coming from Singapore to Perth, and if I was ever a dictator of the world, there will be a law passed globally. You must shower before getting on a 6-hour flight, because that was the most miserable flight I ever had, by someone sitting next to me, coming in from Thailand, and probably hasn't showered in weeks. And yeah, oh God, it was a flight from Singapore to Perth. I wanted to die. So
Well,
there you
maybe
go.
when McAfee wins in 2020, he can, establish a
Yeah.
new world order and put you as the head of it for that very reason. So we'll see.
All right, and with the price of Bitcoin, there won't be any business flights anytime soon. So so we're back into the back of the plane. All right, guys. Talk to you all on the next one, and thank you for watching.